Joan of Arc, national hero of France. Joan's victory seemed to be a miracle to the French. In one battle, an arrow struck her between her neck and shoulder. Even with this injury, she continued her duties leading the troops. Because of her efforts, Dauphin Charles became King Charles VII in 1429. In 1430, Charles VII sent Joan to a battle at Compiègne. She was thrown from her horse and captured by the enemy. Joan was accused of many crimes, including witchcraft, and put on trial. In spite of all she had done for Charles VII, he didn't help her get released. He appeared to distance himself from the charges. Joan was sentenced to death and was burned alive at the age of 19. Her fame only increased after her death, and 20 years later, Charles VII ordered a new trial that cleared her name. As a fearless martyr, Joan of Arc has been a popular subject in art for many centuries. A statue of her in Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris pays respect to her memory. She was canonized as a saint in 1920 by the Catholic Church and is the patron saint of France.
Welcome back to English for You. I'm Adam.
And I'm Elsie.
And everyone, during the first part of our article, we learned that England and France are at war to see who is actually the king of France. But then, dun dun dun, all of a sudden, a teenage girl shows up named Joan of Arc and telling the Prince of France that, she talks to God and angels. And so with no training, she leads a battle to take on the English.
Wow.
I know, exactly. A 16-year-old.
So we're going to learn more about her today, right?
We are going to learn more about the famous hero known as Joan of Arc. Continuing our story, it says, Joan's victory seemed to be a miracle to the French. And we see the word miracle. A miracle is a supernatural event beyond explanation. So you can't even explain why or how it happened. So an example sentence I could use would be, the survival of the trapped kitten without any injuries was considered a miracle.
Miracle 就是奇迹啦。那这边呢，除了看到 miracle 这个字之外，我们还看到了今天的文法重点。Let's take a look. 今天的 Language in Focus 当中我们要看到的是 seem 跟 appear 的用法。seem 和 appear 都有好像、似乎的意思，那它们的用法也是很类似的，甚至你是可以互换它们来使用的。不过呢，就语气上面来说seem 多以主观感受做推测， appear 则是多根据眼前所见的客观事实来描述。因此同一个句子当中使用seem 和 appear 时候，它的那个意思可以说是差不多，不同的之处呢，只是在于说话者推测事情的主客观程度。好，那它的句型是什么呢？主词出来之后，后方加上 seem 或是 appear，接下来你可以接上一个形容词，或者是用 to 带出原形动词。所以我们课文说到的 Joan's victory seemed to be a miracle to the French， 在说的就是贞德的胜利，就主观的推测对法国人而言是个奇迹。那另外给同学们一个例句咯。Kate seems unhappy about something. She's been in a bad mood all day. Kate 似乎对于某件事感到很不开心，她一整天的心情都不太好。那这是一个主观的事实，对不对？因为她看到她就是不开心的样子，所以使用的是 seems 这个动词。那另外一个咯 His wallet appears to be missing.He can't find it anywhere. 再说一次His wallet appears to be missing. He can't find it anywhere. 那你有发现吗？这个是一个客观的事实，因为皮夹就是不见啦，对不对？所以我们用的是 appear 这个动词来描述。
So, speaking of miracles and Joan of Arc's miracle at the battle, have you ever experienced any kind of miracle, Elsie?
Not really.
No?
Have you?
No, I've never had something like, something so crazy that I would consider it a miracle.
So you're a Catholic, right?
Yeah, I'm Catholic. I grew up Catholic.
So
yes.
have you ever felt like you had a duty to do something because of your religion?
Not really, but if later on we'll learn more about Joan, we'll learn about if you want to be a saint in the Catholic Church, you have to perform at least 3 miracles or a couple miracles to become a saint.
3 miracles.
Usually it's about 3. However, there are some instances where if you created maybe 1 or 2, you might be able to get in and become a saint too. So getting back to Joan of Arc, we learned that she won this battle. So everyone in France was, amazed, and they were like, wow, I can't believe a teenager could win a battle. What a miracle.
So did anything bad happen to her?
Well, just wait. Good question. We are going to find out just what kind of hero Joan is. Our article tells us in one battle, an arrow struck her between her neck and shoulder. Even with this injury, she continued her duties leading the troops. So we see the word injury, which is a noun. It's harm or damage to the body, often resulting in pain or a loss of function. An example we could use using the word injury is after the car accident, he suffered a minor injury to his arm.
Injury 指的就是伤害、受伤，那它是一个可数名词哦。所以当我们说头部受伤的话是 a head injury， 那如果是手臂受伤 an arm injury， 那动词呢是 injure。那如果说有一个人严重受伤可能是在意外事故当中，那你可以说他是 be badly or seriously injured， 好，你可以用这样子的说法来说它的状况。那 injured 自己还可以当做一个形容词用，代表的就是受伤的。
So even though Joan was injured, she still led her troops. And we see the word troop, which is a noun. It's a group of soldiers or armed forces often organized for a specific purpose. So an example we would use is, the troop of soldiers marched in a perfect formation during the military parade.
Troop 这个名词是军队，是部队，所以就算受伤了，圣女贞德还是继续领导她的军队。哇 So even though she was still hurt, she kept fighting and protecting her troops.
Exactly. I mean, that's just what kind of hero she was. And again, we forget when we read these old stories or we listen to history, we forget that this was a 16 and then maybe 17-year-old girl at this point, fighting in these battles where, you're close and you're in close range, getting shot with arrows, and she's leading a group of men and soldiers to war. Man, that's pretty heroic to me. Our article continues by saying, because of her efforts, Dauphin Charles became King Charles VII in 1429.
Wow, so it is a happy story with a happy ending, huh? She wins and saves the day.
Well, wait a minute, not quite. In 1430, Charles VII sent Joan to a battle at Compiègne. She was thrown from her horse and captured by the enemy. There we see the verb everyone captured. It's to take someone or something into custody or control, often by force. So an example sentence we would all use is, the police managed to capture the criminal after a long car chase.
好，那在这句当中呢，我们看到2个被动，一个是 was thrown， 另外一个是 was captured， 他被甩了出去，然后还被俘虏了起来。那俘虏捕获这个动词呢是 capture， 好，常常是被动形式出现。那被敌军俘虏的圣女贞德到底该怎么办呢？ What should she do?
Exactly, right? Is anyone going to come to save her? Well, our article tells us Joan was accused of many crimes, including witchcraft, and put on trial. There we see the word accuse. And accuse is a verb. It's to claim that someone has done something wrong or illegal. So you could also say, accuse somebody of doing something, which means then to claim that someone has done something wrong or illegal, maybe to you or to something else. So example sentence we could use is, the referees decided to accuse him of cheating during the game. And also in that sentence, they accused her of witchcraft and put her on trial, everyone. We see the two words on trial, the phrase. What does that mean? It's when someone has to go to court to prove if they did something wrong or not.
好，我们来整理一下咯。我们首先看到的 accuse 这个动词呢是指控、控告。accuse somebody of doing something， 那就是指控、控告某人做某事。那指控的内容我们要用名词来说，这个名词是 accusation。那被指控的人，好，可以是个被告，好，被告或是被指控的人，英文是 the accused。那如果是控告别人的人，控告者，好，那就是 accuser。那再来呢，我们还看到 witchcraft 这个名词是巫术，所以圣女贞德被控使用巫术，然后接受了审判，受审就是 on trial.
So back then, everyone, when you were accused of witchcraft, and it was quite common, hundreds of years ago, it's because religion was taken very seriously back then. And if you said you could actually speak to angels or to God or to really anything, they kind of considered the Catholic Church at that point, considered that almost heresy, which would mean to, which relates to witchcraft. Like you cannot say that. You cannot actually have a direct line to any kind of angels or to God. So it was taken very seriously back then. So after everything that Joan has done for the country of France, you would think somebody would go and save her. Well, our article tells us, in spite of all she had done for Charles VII, he didn't help her get released. There we see in spite of. And that means even though something is happening, something else still occurs. So an example we would say is, in spite of the rain, we had a fun picnic.
In spite of 后面加上名词或是 VING 代表的是尽管的意思，那你也可以把 in spite of 换成 despite 来说。那课文说到呢，尽管他曾经帮查理七世做了那么多事情，查理七世还是没有帮助圣女贞德被释放。So, wow, she was so young. So, please tell me she didn't die.
Well, Elsie, I've got some bad news.
Oh, no.
I mean, you would think that the King of France would come to help her, but our article tells us he appeared to distance himself from the charges. Joan was sentenced to death and was burned alive at the age of 19.
查理七世的行为呢，就客观上来说是想跟贞德的控诉保持距离。为什么要特别强调就客观上来说呢？因为你会发现这边的动词使用的是 appeared， 好，不是 seemed， 所以就是回到我们刚刚文法重点刚刚讲到的内容。那这篇文章说到啊，最后圣女贞德被判死刑，并且在19岁的时候被活活烧死 ，burned alive。Yeah,
I mean...
She was burned alive. Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, in those days, if people said you were a witch, that is what they did to you. But, everyone, her fame only increased after her death. And 20 years later, Charles VII ordered a new trial that cleared her name. There we see clear somebody's name. And that phrase is to prove that someone is not guilty of a crime or wrongdoing.
Fame 这个名词啊，指的是名声、名望。圣女贞德死后的声望其实是水涨船高的。那20年之后，查理七世帮他洗刷了罪名，还他清白。Clear somebody's name， 那就是还某人清白的意思。
Right, so she was no longer viewed as a witch. She was viewed as a hero. Her fame, her popularity, you could also say, went higher and higher. The French people were like, oh, Joan of Arc is our number one hero. And so continuing with the article, it says, as a fearless martyr, Joan of Arc has been a popular subject in art for many centuries.Martyr
这个名词呢是殉难者，所以这里用 fearless 来形容这个殉难者就是圣女贞德。我们说她是毫无畏惧的，圣女贞德是一个毫无畏惧的殉难者，这也让她成为许多艺术品的主题。
And even a statue of her in Notre Dame or Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris pays respect to her memory.There we see the word statue. And statue is a noun. It's a sculpture representing a person, animal, or object, typically made of stone or metal. So an example sentence we could say is, the city put up a statue to honor the brave firefighter who saved many lives during the fire.Statue 这个名词呢就是雕像，在巴黎的圣母院当中也有圣女贞德的雕像哦，为的就是要向她致敬。 And like I said, since she basically saved France at that time of all those battles to kind of get them away from, this 100-year war with England, our article tells us she was canonized as a saint in 1920 by the Catholic Church.And is the patron saint of France.
Was canonized as a saint 这个是一个被动态，那 canonize 这个动词就是把点点点封为圣徒，那圣徒圣人用到的名词就是 saint 这个字。课文最后说到呢1920年啊，圣女贞德被天主教封圣人。好，所以就是为什么我们中文会说圣女贞德，那个圣就是圣人，就是 saint， 那也是 the patron saint of France， 法国的守护神，或你要说主保圣人也是可以的。那这个时候我们就到了文章的最后了。
So since we were in the beginning, we were talking about what makes a hero. Do you think Joan of Arc fits that description of what it takes to be a hero?
Of course.
Exactly. No one fits that description better than Joan of Arc. Now that brings us, everyone, to our For You chat question. It says, why do you think Joan was accused of witchcraft?
Why was she accused of witchcraft? Because maybe it was because she was capable of doing so many things when she was only, a teenager.
Yeah, at such a young age. First and foremost, she said she spoke to, angels. And then by winning these battles that nobody thought, right? Nobody thought she was going to win these battles at 14 or 16 years of age.
Right. Maybe she was born to be a leader.
Yeah.
Of an army, but people didn't know about that, so they thought she was witch.
Exactly. She had supernatural powers, maybe. Well, what do you guys think? Talk amongst your classmates and yourselves. Do you think, or why do you think Joan of Arc was accused of witchcraft? And witchcraft goes through, a long part of our history, or a long part of at least Western history. And so it might be an interesting topic to look into when you have free time to see how that plays an important role in different histories. So that's all the time we have today. We hope you enjoyed learning about Joan of Arc. My name is Adam.
And I'm Elsie.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Miracle. Doctors thought it was a miracle that Kathy recovered from such a serious disease. Injury. George was so lucky. He didn't get any injuries in the terrible car accident. Troop. During the military festival, the troops walked through the center of the city with their guns. Capture. The enemy soldiers were captured and taken back to the king's castle. Accuse. The teacher accused me of cheating on the test, but I didn't do it. Statue. One of this city's most famous sights is the statue of the first president. It looks just like him.
智慧小补帖
Witchcraft. Fame. Martyr. Canonize. saint